Hello out there in YouTube land. I'm Johnny. I'm live from my mother's basement. And I'm going to try to do this as more of a laid back thing rather than screaming and ranting because I tend to have my best thoughts when I keep a level head and I took my medication. So realistically, the only way I'm going to get super upset is if a truck drives through my wall, which seeing as I'm in the basement, that can't really happen. So let me scratch my nose. Oh yeah, we get right up in there. Ah, that's awesome. This is going to be a reply video in response to a subject that I've seen floating around YouTube. Guys, Daniel Parkin and OKayFabe, I've seen their videos, and I've seen other people doing responses to them. This is essentially why you can't get behind any of the WWE's babyfaces. Now let me go ahead and disclaimer this and say that I haven't really been watching WWE since, what was the last fucking pay-per-view? I didn't really see United Champions. I didn't watch the product of it. Essentially, around the time of Raw 1000, I was already losing a lot of interest. And after the show with a bunch of veterans, it really didn't do a whole hell of a lot. I don't know. I didn't really... SummerSlam wasn't all that exciting. I had been not watching it since around then even. I don't know. It just felt... I can't really describe it. You know, I don't really need to, I don't think. It's just that the product has been consistently kind of and short-sighted, I think, in the booking department. Most of all, the booking department. And things have been kind of illogical for me. And most of all, I feel like I don't really have anybody to root for other than the bad guys who don't really seem to be going anywhere. But this is why I can't get behind the good guys, so this video should be about them, and maybe in the future, if you guys leave me some comments or leave me some direction as to maybe what bad guys I should be talking about next time around, I can do something with them. Now, take into account that I'm using, you know, what other people have said, what the results that I've seen online, because I still check them. I still check in on WWE. I just don't watch the product consistently, week to week to week. I don't think I've watched SmackDown in since they had the one live special for like the Great American 4th of July Bash or something. And I didn't really follow it consistently then. Superstars I don't watch. NXT I don't watch. The whatever the hell it's supposed to be on Ion Television, I don't get that channel, so I don't watch that. The main event, I guess. You know, they're going to take a show like Main Event that used to be the Saturday Night Main Event that was the precursor to Monday Night Raw. It was an amazing show. And now they're going to turn it into a piece of crap thing on Ion Television. That's insulting. Even Raw, I 3 fucking hours, not worth it. You can sum up all of what happened in Raw in 3 minutes, what you liked, what you didn't like, and you're done. And why waste 3 hours on it? And a lot of that is due to the fact that I see 4 guys, I guess you could say, 4 guys that are faces milling around the top. It always seems to be the same 3 or 4 guys. And even when Edge went down with that injury that ended his career for retirement, it still seemed like there were the same people on top. They never really brought anybody else in except for to build Sheamus up as a face after the fact. And it's just really weird to me. So here's a few reasons and a few people. You might as well start at the top. If you're going to go, you might as well go big or go home. And since I'm already at home in the basement, we're going to start with John Cena. Now, John Cena has had an unchanging character since what, like 04, 03, 04, 05. By the time he was contending for the championship, you know, and I don't mean the U.S. championship, because that was already an atrocity of a spinner belt, but when he won, you know, the world title the first time, I don't remember if it was the WWE championship or the world title. It must have been the WWE championship because he made that shit spin too. And nothing has changed since. The belt still looks the damn same. It looks like a joke. And until even just last year, you know, he'd been booked never to lose. So it's like, what's the point? Um, I think, WrestleMania fucking... Where are we here? WrestleMania 28, he lost to Rock. He had to lose a little bit before then. He had to lose and stay away from the title a year ago, long enough to let Punk get it. But before that, man, he was the guy, and he was the person that you saw all the time up your ass, and nobody else had a chance, had a shot. Instead of being kind of like a revolving door, which is bad in its own right. This was like a trapdoor, and you just couldn't get in. So he was on his own level, and everybody else was like, Well, you say the other guy that might have been, even around that time, a mega babyface as well, because he was on SmackDown owning the show, was Randy Orton. And why can't you get into Randy Orton? Well, he also had the Superman booking issue until last year. He worked some programs with Cody Rhodes and Wade Barrett, but on the whole, the motherfucker won 99.5% of the time. Those other two guys were made to look good in the programs with him, but they didn't. They got, like a couple of bullshit cheat-to-win victories over them, and maybe he put over Dolph Ziggler at one point. I don't even remember. But it was just like the whole thing with him versus Christian was, he won the title off of Christian, and 2 days after Christian finally won the world title, and that really pissed me off as a fan. And then it was them back and forth for like 5 or 6 months fighting over this title, and it was garbage. Orton can't talk on the mic. Ever since his debut, he's been either nervous or just robotic or lacking on the microphone. It's never gotten better. His in-ring style is so limited that I could care less. If you're going to try to teach kids the 1, 2, 3, 4 moves of doom or whatever, I guess he's the perfect candidate to be on top because he's like a robot, and watching him is painful. I'm going to come next to Sheamus. Sheamus seems to have been on top for a while. He won the title at WrestleMania, and honestly, I think it was more of a curse to do that than a blessing, because the fans really started to feel like they got fucked over. They got behind Daniel Bryan, who became the underdog, when it should have been Sheamus that was the underdog. And then Sheamus hasn't been an underdog since, I guess, until Big Show clocked him with a fucking right hand and took the title away from him. I didn't see it, but and I hear that's what happened. Sheamus hasn't had anything to really put up a fight with him since April. Like, that's stupid. More of the same old Superman booking that you just can't get behind. You need to have a bad guy that can have an upper hand on you, or at least come close to touching you. And the whole Sheamus Alberto Del Rio sham that was going on for months and months, as much as I was glad to see that finally end, it should have ended with ADR getting the upper hand and at least, looking like he wasn't a piece of crap on the roster anymore. Now they're putting ADR against Orton, and you're supposed to care. It's like, no. Because if Alberto Del Rio can't get it done, and he's the bad guy that you're supposed to hate, you're hating him for all the wrong reasons now if he's going up against Orton, who is just going to be made to look like the company's star, because that's what he is. More of the same. You want to talk about more of the same? How about Ryback? I've already seen this gimmick. I saw this gimmick back in 1997 and 1998, I believe. It's called Goldberg. And, yeah, we all know how that ended up. He did a lot of good for the WCW. Kept them afloat, just from week to week, you would tune in, and when he fought Hogan for the title, it was a really big night for ratings for them, but they never had ratings like that again afterward. But Goldberg helped keep that ship, afloat for a little while, because, the idea of having an undefeated champion, the first undefeated man in the history of the sport to ever gain the world title, that was a big fucking deal. Unfortunately, you've already fucked this up for Ryback if you were trying to repeat the Goldberg formula. People tell me, why do you compare Ryback to Goldberg? Well, the limited amount of microphone time, the beast gimmick of get in there, get it done in 3-minute squash matches. But I really can't compare Ryback to Goldberg anymore, because At least Goldberg had a progression up the card. What the fuck is this sham of things that Ryback had? Ryback, you can't be a main eventer if 1 week you're squashing jobbers, the next week you're squashing 2 jobbers, you go back to squashing people that nobody cares about. Maybe it was Primo, maybe it was Epico. You go into a 2-week feud with The Miz, you beat him both times, and then all of a sudden you're fighting Punk at Hell in a Cell, the main event. What? So that really didn't make any sense to me. And I think a lot of people might be confused about how rushed that is. You also can't be a guy, if you can't get over at a live event. Nobody gave a shit about this guy's entrance at the house show that I went to with my girlfriend Stephanie. And when the kids started to chant "Feed Me More," the adults in the crowd were booing and didn't care. And I think they were rooting for Punk, not maybe because they liked Punk, but because they didn't like Ryback at this point. It was really weird. You're not allowed to just transcend the card like that and to just... If you want to be brought in as a main eventer, that's one thing. But you have to have a progression. You have to do something to warrant yourself getting a title shot. Sure, he was undefeated for a few, months, but he never faced anybody. Tell me Miz was going to be a challenge for him? Miz is like, I don't know, a quarter of the size of Ryback? Miz wasn't even a main eventer himself at that point. Miz had just been in a mid-card feud with Kofi Kingston. And he lost to him too. So you're saying that, okay, Ryback is good enough to beat Miz, so that should make him a main eventer. No. He should have went through somebody else. There should have been a lot more people he went through. Instead, what we got was... bleh. That's the problem with the top tier of babyfaces in the WWE. Nobody cares about them. I don't care about them. Maybe the little kids care about them, but they don't know any better. And the point is you're supposed to have, babyfaces that everybody can get into. And I just don't see it with any of those 4 guys I mentioned, Cena, Orton, Sheamus, Ryback. Now, here's some guys that I like that don't go anywhere. And this is really what's frustrating to me, and a lot of the reason I turned off the TV and will not watch it tonight or, in the future, is because I like these people, but they don't fucking do anything with them. Let's take, for instance, Kofi Kingston. Okay. So he's the Intercontinental Champion again. Yay for repetition. I get it, guys. He's like a 4-time IC champ. He's like a 3-time US champ or some shit. He's a tag champ a bunch of times. But his character has never changed ever since he debuted. He's always had the boom, boom, boom. And you build him as a Jamaican, even though he was from West Africa. The music is weird. Why should it be SOS? Just do something with this guy if you're going to do it. Instead, we'll just have him hit the glass ceiling every time we think they're going to do something. We'll just my head. Ow! See how it's bald and hurting and shiny? That's what's happening to Kofi. He's stuck in this mid-card hell, and eventually all his hair is going to burn off because that's what happens in hell. Things are in flames, and it's a sham. And it's torture, and watching WWE is almost like torture right now. So... Another guy I like is R-Truth. I liked him better as a heel. I thought he did his best work in the company as a heel. But he had to flop back to a joke of a babyface to fight Miz, and now we get little Jimmy jokes every fucking week, and it's lame as fuck. Little Jimmy worked because it was essentially telling all these little fans, fuck off, without really telling them that. And it was something that was debuted against the Cena character to make fun of him. Why is little Jimmy his imaginary friend? It's dumb. I can't get behind that. Love R-Truth. What a great talent. Miss him being a champion in TNA. Maybe at some point he'll get released and be able to go back. I don't know. Brodus Clay. I really like Brodus Clay and what he did with this gimmick of his. They put him off debuting. We thought he was going to have a monster heel run, but then Mark Henry took that, fucking ran with it. And I liked how Mark Henry did that, became world champ, whatever, but Brodus Clay needed something to stand out from everybody else. So that's what he did. He got this disco funk fucking thing going on. He's got the Funketeers, or the Dactyls, or whatever the hell they're called. Fuck you, Michael Cole, for putting the wrong words in my head every week. it would be nice if he could get a big-time opponent. At one point, I saw that he and Big Show were having a match together, but that never really happened because Show attacked him on the outside and drove him into like the ring post or something and cracked a chair over his head or whatever. They never really had a match, and Brodus Clay really hasn't had a challenge yet. I saw him work at the house show against Jack Swagger. Newsflash, Jack Swagger is going nowhere. And there's no way I could ever get behind Swagger. On talent, he really doesn't have it. On charisma, he doesn't have that either. He doesn't belong as a top star. And Brodus Clay beat him in about a minute and a half. Enough said. Rey Mysterio. What a talent Rey Mysterio is. But why is he stuck in a program with Sin Cara when he really shouldn't be? Just because they're two guys from Mexico that work a lucha style, you have to pin them in with each other? Are you going to build up to some teacher versus student at WrestleMania? I mean, the writing is on the wall for that, but why should that have to happen? Why can't they just have their separate identities as they go? They're obviously not the tag team champions. There's seemingly nothing you want to do with these guys. Sin Cara is such a botch fest that Mysterio can't cover that up all the time. You know, I understand that Sin Cara needs to learn more of the American style, get comfortable with it, maybe learn a little bit more English. I don't think that Rey Mysterio is the one to do that for him in the ring. Maybe outside the ring he should be giving him pointers, but Mysterio should be a top talent right now, feuding for a title shot. I know that we've seen him versus CM Punk to death, but you know, you could drop the title off of Punk. It's already been a year. Mysterio could have been in there kicking some ass, or at least trying. Or at least floating around the top of the card and not stuck in the fucking tag division. That's really odd. I know you have nothing for him to do, and it kind of spices up the tag division, but there's other people you can use in the tag teams. Another guy that I like a lot, but can't seem to get onto television is Alex Riley. Ding, 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 ding. Alex Riley, yay! I'm a huge fan of Alex Riley. I talk to the guy on Facebook a lot. Like, not that he's my best friend or anything, but geez, like, he's really good to his fans, and I can't say the same for other people, superstar-y guys that I've tried to contact. I don't care. Alex Riley, man, this guy has essentially it all. He's got power, he's got speed, he's got more charisma in his toes than most people have in their whole career. It's just so odd that he can't find a break. But, you know, and they never did anything with him. After that whole thing with Miz, they swept the rug right out from underneath him. He never got on television again. And it's like, why? Why don't you use this guy? He's clearly over. He gets the biggest pop everywhere he goes of the fucking night almost. I've seen Superstars matches. It's loud when he comes out. Even louder than fucking Christian when they were having that one pre-show. I don't remember which pre-show it was, but maybe it was the SummerSlam pre-show when they had the Battle Royal to see who was going to go for the something or other. I don't even fucking remember, but it was a loud pop. That's all I give a shit about. Alex Riley is a great talent, and he deserves to be on television and working his way up the card, and instead he just doesn't get anything. And that's why I can't get into WWE right now, because all these people that I've listed, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can name another one, Tyson Kidd. Tyson Kidd's a wonderful talent. That son of a bitch should be in a lightweight division somewhere tearing it up, or on a tag team where he can exhibit his high-flying style against opponents like maybe Kofi Kingston, against Sin Cara, against Epico and Primo. But no, we just... I mean, like, he seems to have inherited this Hart family shit smear when it comes to the booking, and just, you know, everything kind of rains downhill on him and ends up in a porta potty somewhere. You know, and they got rid of his partner, D.H. Smith. I don't know why the fuck they did that. Natalia's still there, but they don't make any fucking reference to it. And, you know, he just kind of free floats now. Tyson Kidd was in a tag team for like a week with Justin Gabriel, I think it was, and they never went anywhere with it. When they really could have. Two younger guys that could have got a break doing something. But no, they won't. So all I have to say, really, while this video goes on to be 20 minutes, is just what the fuck, WWE? You got these baby faces that are out there, but you can't relate to any of them because they never get anywhere. Like, I mean, I can relate to Alex Riley because we're about the same age. He's out of college. He's hungry. He's a young guy. He played varsity sports. I played varsity sports. But no, don't use him. Let's keep going with Cena. You think Cena would have been able to take time off with his surgery, but he was still on television thereafter. Like, I think he missed a week. And even the whole thing with the divorce with Cena, he was still there. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Couldn't they let Lesnar get that fucking win and done something with him, or put the focus on somebody else for a week or a month or something? I mean, like, I know that the product thrives when Cena's there, but the fact is they haven't built anybody else to take his spot when he's not there. So you wonder why when he's not there it doesn't do so hot. Vince McMahon, you came back to television and it really didn't boost the ratings a whole hell of a lot. You remember when you guys were getting like 3.5s and 3.4s? Yeah, how about that 2.45? That's really working out well for you. It is because of the Cena, Orton, Sheamus, Ryback-itis. Like, there's only a certain number of people that are allowed to be at the top. And if you're not in this fucking Breakfast Club and you're not sucking cock or you're not doing favors, you know, what have you done for me lately's? Maybe if you're not nailing the boss's daughter for a few years, you don't get a chance. And I understand that wrestling has a lot of politics, and it, you know, a lot of that is, you know, you being a man backstage and trying to get the company to notice what you're worth and how much you're worth. But it's also about being able to be given the shot to go out there and prove something and have the fans or, you know, sales or merchandise, you know, dictate why you're popular or how you're popular. But if you've got weak-ass heels that can't ever get the job done, and you've got these faces on top for years at a time, like, look at Cena, the fucking guy, like, had, like, well, a year and a half title reign, nobody could touch him, like, fuck that. Dude, this isn't the golden era of Hulk Hogan anymore. You really need to get the bad guys get over sometimes. And I think that's a lot of the problem. But before this becomes a 30-minute video, I'm going to end it here. Hopefully there's something in there of what I've said that can relate to you. And, you know, if you like what you've seen, a little thumbs up wouldn't hurt. I'll catch you guys later.